another episode of Usagi Motors, and welcome to my 1973 Isuzu Bellett 1800 GT. This car I actually picked up in Japan when I was living there. I had a 72 model C10 Skyline that was had bodywork that was beyond what I was capable of handling. So I brokered a trade for that car for this car. I ended up with it, and it needed a lot of work as well, so I kind of stripped it down to bare metal. We cut out some really bad rust, welded in some new steel, kind of coated everything, and then painted it. And this was kind of the first car that I wanted to see how much and how far I could go by myself. So I did all the body work, I did all the paint work. It was the first time I'd ever painted a car, and so you can see the paint work here is still the paint as it was when I painted it in Japan. It's a little rough, it could use to be gone through again. Actually, I rebuilt the bottom end of the engine, but I had somebody do the cylinder head for me. It all runs really pretty well. I absolutely love driving this car. It's so much fun to drive. The interior is a little tatty in places, but you know, it's what you would expect for a car that's now 45 years old. The car itself is mostly factory. I've only changed a few minor things on it. The front fog lights, for example, they were originally Sev Marshalls, and they were kind of rusted and pitted and falling apart there. So I found these like massive FET driving lights on Yahoo Auctions when I was living in Japan, and so I picked them up and I've installed them. Inside the vehicle I have a Halda Speed Pilot, which you can see I've put in the center console. This is, as far as I know, a fully functioning unit. I'm just missing the little T-piece that allows you to tee off of your factory speedometer to run into the speed pilots. Other than that, you know, the car's pretty much 100% factory. The wheels have been changed. I didn't get the factory wheels with it, but they're kind of an unknown brand. I found them on Yahoo Auctions. The seller didn't know what brand they were, and I still haven't found anybody that can tell me what brand they are. So if you know, let me know. So this episode is not just an introduction to the car to show you guys the car. I mean, I do want you guys to check it out because these are kind of rare in the States and it's a ton of fun. But also, we're going to take it out and we're going to drive it. And I ordered some really cool velocity stacks from a company up in Canada called Velo Stak. So these are actually fully 3D printed velocity stacks. They come in two pieces. You have the main piece here, which is a 3D printed coupler that goes onto the carburetor. And then you have the stack here that slides into the coupler. All right, now this is a fairly tight fit, but you actually have to bond them in. The reason that they're not bonded in when you order them is because, you know, certain engine bays are going to have different clearances and whatnot, so you may need to trim this to whatever size you need so that it fits within your engine bay. Alright, these also have a really neat thing. By being a 3D printed item, they can do this kind of cool dimpling on the inside here, like a golf ball. And the idea is that creates kind of a boundary layer that allows air to flow smoothly across it. Supposedly they make a huge difference. So I'm really excited to see what kind of performance improvements these can offer, because the factory airbox is like super restrictive. Looks good, but it's super restrictive. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to take the car out, I'm going to put the GoPro on it so I can see the speedometer, and I'm going to do a 0 to 100 km/h run. And I'm going to check the time code on the GoPro so that I can see exactly how long that took. And then I'm going to pull it into the garage, I'm going to pull off the factory airbox, I'm going to put these guys on there, and then I'm going to go do a 0 to 100 km/h run again, check the time code again, and we can kind of see what kind of performance improvements we can, you know, kind of discover by comparing the time codes between the two acceleration runs. So it should be pretty fun. I'm going to go ahead and pop the GoPro into the car. We're going to do a quick 100 km/h run, then we're going to bring it in, take it apart, and put these bad boys on. Okay, so we got it all back together. I'm quite happy with how it went. The Velo Stak stacks are like awesome. They're super easy to work with. As you can see, I had to actually shorten them. I shortened them by about 25 millimeters. And the reason for that was because the frontmost carburetor, the stack was so long it was going to hit the hood when the hood was shut. It's actually still a little close. I'm afraid it might hit the hood on when the engine's rocking, but I put my camera in the engine bay so that I could see just how much clearance I had when the hood was shut, and it looks like it should be okay, but we'll take a look at it after we do a couple of runs. I had to reroute some extra hoses. The carburetor float overflow hoses were going into the factory airbox. I had to build a custom tab to kind of pipe those out of the way. The problem is that the carbs and the exhaust manifold are on the same side of the engine. It's a counterflow head. So what this means is that if the overflow just goes straight down, it's going to run straight into the exhaust manifold, and that may not necessarily be good. So we kind of rerouted them to the front so that way they can kind of flow out of the way. I also have some Piper Cross air filters that I can slide over the trumpets. When I do my 0 to 100 test on the driveway out there, I'm not going to put those on there, but I can run these for everyday driving. Not that I everyday drive this car, but I can do that. Other than that, man, I'm super happy with the Velo Stak velocity stacks. I do want to give a shout out to the guys at Velo Stak. They were super nice. I had a ton of questions, and I just badgered them with like super long emails, and they replied promptly to every single one. Some of the nicest guys I've ever met. So if you are looking for a set of velocity stacks, send those guys an email, man. They can help you out. But all that's left now is to see if there is actually any performance gain. There should be. The original factory airbox is like super restrictive. This opens up a lot and lets it breathe a lot better. So we're going to fire it up, we're going to let it warm up, and then we're going to do a 0 to 100 kilometer an hour run. Let's do it. Okay, I just got back from checking the timestamps, and well, it's slow. We knew that it was going to be a slow car in the first place. Pretty much anything from the 1960s and 70s was slow by compared to today's standards, where we have 900 horsepower Dodge Demons that you can buy that do a 9-second quarter. But there was an improvement. So, according to the timestamps on the video, with the factory airbox, it was a 14.8 seconds to 0 to 100 kilometers an hour. And then with the velocity stacks, it was 13.2 seconds. Now, my launch was atrocious on both of those. So, at least that was equal between the two. But I did run it a little harder and deeper into the revs with the velocity stacks. Partially because I felt like it could do it, and it really had more punch at higher RPM. But, I mean, this is like super duper not scientific. Now, to put that into kind of a bit of context, there was a couple different models of Bellett. There was a 1600 GT, an 1800 GT, a 1600 GTR. There was a bunch of 1500 models, but we're just going to focus on kind of those three. This is the 1800 GT. The 1600 GT, I kind of found some places that were saying 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 12.9 seconds. And for the 1600 GTR, which has like a really awesome twin cam with side draft Solexes, it makes about 130 horsepower, about 30 more than this one. I saw a source that said 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 9.9 seconds. Now, I'm pretty sure that I can get this one down to about 12.5 seconds with a nice harder launch, and that kind of puts it right where I think it should be. About half a second to a second faster than the 1600 GT, but still a second to 2 seconds slower than the GTR. So that kind of falls right where we were expecting it, which is that's pretty good considering that it's
as old as it is, and that I drive it as hard as I do. So we know that the engine's strong and it's running well. The funnels sound amazing, and actually I think I'm going to put that GoPro right back on the window. I'm going to run out and I'm going to launch it a little harder, and I'm running it a little deeper into the revs and see if I can't get it closer to a 12-second 0 to 100 kilometers an hour. Alright, but that'll be my parting piece. Thank you guys for watching the video, and I hope to see y'all on the next one. Take it easy.